Hello, everybody, and welcome back to On the Diamond and Into the Deep. I am your host, as always, Mahal, and welcome back. It has been a minute. I have been out of town on spring break from school. I've been in California, so that's why there's been nothing. Whole lot of nothing. But good news is I haven't missed a lot in Mariners Land because there's not a lot to like so far, and that's okay. So today it is, at the time of recording, 8:33 p.m. on April 14th. Mariners wrapped up a series with the Chicago Cubs today, and all I gotta say is, go, Cubs, go! Go, Cubs, go! Hey, Chicago, what do you say? The Cubs won the series today. Anyways, yeah, positives and negatives, definitely. There were definitely a couple positives today, so we'll get into that series. That'll be what kicks us off, probably. We will then kick into some just basic storylines that have been happening, including an injury to Dom Canzone today that we will have to talk about, as well as I'm going to call them the Big Four. I don't know if that's correct, as Jorge Polanco probably could be included, but I'm going to talk about the Big Four struggling hitters in J.P. Crawford, Julio Rodriguez, Mitch Garver, and Big Dumper Cal Raleigh. And then we will get into the preview for this week's series against the Cincinnati Reds, in which I will be attending the middle game, Logan Gilbert against Hunter Green. I'll be out in right field, so that'll be a fun game. We will conclude the episode today with a little fantasy update. We are 3-0, so we'll get into that a little bit. It'll be short and fun and sweet. So, let's get into it, y'all. First off, let's talk about the series that just wrapped, and overall the season. The Mariners are 6-10 now. A record I never thought I would see them having this year. I thought they were going to get off to a quick start, especially after seeing this spring. Now, how worried am I? If you give me a 1 to 10 scale, I'm going to give you about a 5. Because yes, it is worrying what has happened, and their process and everything has been god-awful. That said, we are only about 2 weeks into the season. 16 games. Alright? Don't lose your heads. Don't lose your minds. If we get to end of April, middle of May, and this team is still heavily struggling, then okay, we'll talk about it. But there are worries in that, as I said in the intro, that Big Four, as well as a couple starting pitchers that I'll talk about too. But there were positives in the series. Let's start with today, and we'll just give a couple storylines from each game. Brutal 7th, 8th, and 9th innings on the bottom half of the innings. I mean, it doesn't really get more brutal than that. And I haven't seen every game, as I have been pretty busy, but from what I can tell and what I've seen, this is the most brutal game I've watched. And it was actually a lot of positives in it too. But just overall, it was a very frustrating game that probably should never have happened. This is a game you probably should have won, and should have won probably pretty easily. With that, it was brutal. Those were 3 of the most brutal innings I may have ever seen. 3 brutal moments following a lot of actually very solid at-bats and moments from a lot of dudes that have been struggling and a lot of dudes that have needed a little bit of a kick. And they got it from some dudes. And then unfortunately, a dude in Ty France who has had a great start to the season, a very, very awful at-bat in the 8th inning. Luke Raley, or Nuke Raley, yeah, not so many nukes. But Nuke Raley, he also had a tough moment ABE there in the 7th inning, we'll say. It'll get better, y'all. I'm just gonna lead off with that. It will get better. This team is good enough and better than they are playing right now. I want you to think about it. This team is 6-10, with majority of the team struggling. majority of your best players struggling. I want you to imagine what's going to happen when these dudes actually get into form of the players they are going to be. They are not going to continue on like this. And if they do, you can come quote this, you can come do whatever, and I'll take it. But I think this team is a lot better than the way they are playing right now, and I think you're going to see that at some point. Because again, this is the floor. If you follow my Twitter, you've seen this tweet multiple times. This is the floor of this roster when healthy. Now, obviously, it can get worse if you consider a lot of injuries happening, but the players that are on the field, this is about the floor. It's not going to get much worse than this. However, although it's not going to get much worse, it is going to get a lot better. In my opinion, these dudes will find their form, they'll find their timing, the pitchers will find their command, their chase, the whiff that they need to find, and they'll get it. They'll find that, and they will crush it. And then this team will go on runs like we have gotten used to seeing late in the season. But I think this team is better than either of those teams. They'll get into the postseason, and I think we get a deep run. None of that has changed for me. People need to relax, all right? And I understand, I do. It has been incredibly frustrating. But Mitch Garver is not this hitter. He's not going to hit 120, 150, whatever he's hitting the entire season. He's not going to strike out at a 30% clip. We've seen Jorge Polanco already starting to turn around. Jorge Polanco was never going to strike out at a 35% clip, hitting 120 over the course of the entire season. He was never going to have a 20, 30 WRC plus. You look at him now, since about the Milwaukee series, he's got a WRC plus 120, 130. That is more who you're going to see. And when the season's all said and done, your players are going to have the stats they're going to have. Julio Rodriguez is going to have a good season. He's not going to look like this the whole year. I am committed to saying that. And I understand it's frustrating, and I understand everything, and it just mounts on him now with the stress added from today. But give the dude a break. Give all these dudes a break. And I understand, frustrating Aprils year after year after year. And if it continues into middle to end of May, then okay, I got you. It's time to get frustrated, it's time to get upset, but not yet. It is too early. Anyway, continuing. Mariners had a great win on Friday. That was probably their best win of the season, and it was a fun game to watch. There's no way around it. It was a fun game to watch, especially following a win Wednesday. Get a little 2-game win streak there, not necessarily streak, especially when you're thinking about how Service determines a streak, and he determines it in 3 games, if you don't know. They were 1 win away from that. They were very close. This entire series, they were very close. You have a couple moments go a different way, and you have a sweep in the series. 3 very close games, which is how the season's going to be. They're going to win close games, they're going to lose close games. It's going to depend on a couple different things. It's going to be how the season goes. That said, you have to score more runs. If you score more than 2 runs, basically in any of these games, you're going to have a fun weekend. You score and you come through in the 7th or 8th inning, or both today, and we're looking at a win in Game 3, a series win for the first time this year, and a lot different story heading into the week. But they don't. They don't come through, and instead, it is the complete opposite, and we're looking at maybe the most dark this season has ever been. It's frustrating, but relax, y'all. Lay off. Jorge Polanco's coming around, though. That is a good sign. Now, continuing with Chicago, let's go through this quickly. Game 1, 4-2 win. Great win. Truly great win. Ryan Stanek had a nice save. Munoz had a nice 8th. He's looking like the Andres Munoz of old. Julio finally came through with a 2 RBI single that he sent to right center. So great to see. Hopefully that he can take that from this weekend and not what happened today, as I'll get into in a few minutes. But also Bryce Miller. Bryce Miller was unbelievable. All right. A truly, truly fantastic start from Bryce Miller. 14 swing and misses. The dude was practically unhittable. And that's what you want to see from your pitcher. All right. Truly, truly amazing. Fun to see. His splitter in the game was good again. It was good again. Through 13, he threw 23 sinkers, 48 fastballs, 9 sweepers, 7 sliders. When you look at whiffs, he got 2 whiffs on the sinker, 11 whiffs on the fastball. The fastball was unhittable. Again, it is a fantastic pitch, and that has been known, and that'll continue. That's not going to change. Bryce Miller is a good pitcher. That is all that's got to be said. Trent Thornton also had a fantastic 2/3 of an inning. So well done to him. Ryan Stanek with the close again, as I said. Andres Munoz with a great 8th inning. And overall, just a really fun, solid win, especially following another good win on Wednesday. Continuing on to Game 2, this was loss number 1 of the series. They lost 4-1. Shota Imanaga had a great start. He is on my fantasy team, so yay, but no. He had a good start. He held them to 1 run. He got the win. And they had chances to come through. They had a lot of weak contact and missed a lot of pitches just in the heart of the zone that are pitches you gotta crush. And it has been like that this entire year. That's how it's been this entire year. They need to get through that. They will get through that. You're not going to see Julio missing and Mitch Garver missing pitches in the middle of the plate a lot. That's not going to happen over the course of the entire year. That'll balance out. They'll get those pitches, and they'll crush them. That's going to happen, y'all. I truly believe that. Great Emerson Hancock quality start, first of his career. But you don't come through. 2 runs over 6, and you can't even get a tie game going in there when he leaves the game. So a little bit brutal for Hancock not to get at least a no decision there, but it's okay. It's 1 game. Again, wipe. Let's go to this next series and let's win. Let's wipe all that's happened so far, especially for Julio. Let's wipe it. Let's go into this next series fresh, rejuvenated, imagined opening day, and let's go win. Let's go win some games. Let's go get 2 out of 3. And yeah, continuing on to Game 3, just sloppy. Truly, truly sloppy. And again, they missed a lot of really nice pitches to hit that should be hit. You look at Ty France, 8th inning. Let's get into it. Bases loaded. Ty France comes up with 1 out in the 8th inning. All you got to do, dude, is get a deep fly out. You have speed on third base. All you had to do was get a fly out. Deep to center, left, right. Anywhere out there. And instead, he gives a little 1-hopper to the second baseman, who steps on the bag at second and doubles up Ty France. And that is looking like 2023 Ty France again. So that's not a lot of fun to see. He's had a great start to the season. That was not that. That was the opposite of a great start. Same thing sort of happened with Luke Raley. A little bit unlucky, though, for Raley. He did hit the ball pretty hard. 7th inning, he has got runners on the corners, and he grounds into a double play with a 105.6 mile-an-hour ground ball to the second baseman. Again, truly just brutal. It had an expected batting average of 590. So if you want to put that into perspective, that's a hit that is going to get through almost 60% of the time. And the one time it doesn't, you ground into a double play, and that prevents the Mariners from being able to tie the game. And if they had, it probably would have sent it to extra innings, or they might have continued to rally. Who knows? But just overall, really brutal. 7th and 8th innings, not going to want to talk about it a lot just because it was brutal. There were a couple lone bright spots, though. Luis Castillo had his best start of the year easily, 23 swings and misses. So he found the whiff again. He found the ability to get chase and to get whiff, which is very good. That's good signs to see. He's got to find that command, though. He is missing way too much with the changeup, way too much with the slider, and that's what happened on the home run that Michael Busch hit out 437 feet to right center. That can't happen. You avoid that, and you give him a better pitch, and you give him a pitch that you can get him out on, and we're looking at a completely different game. This is your ace. And it was a quality start his first of the year, and it was his best start of the year. You should be able to pick him up for that. But with that, he also needs to give up less. He's still got to be better. And he will. I think this is a great step in the right direction. I think you look at his next start on, what'll it be, Friday? Saturday? At his next start Saturday, and you could be looking at a fun start. And hopefully you'll see one. So that's about all I got for the Cubs series. Truly just some brutal stuff. Some very sloppy baseball played. I do want to touch on Game 3, I guess. Again, Julio did get picked off to end the game. Don't want to spend a lot of time on it. You were giving him a day off for mental reasons. You bring him in. He shouldn't get picked off, that said. But you're giving him a mental day off, and you bring him in then instead of earlier in the game. He gets picked off, and that is worse than anything that could have happened during the game. The mental strain that's going to have on him is brutal. Truly. You can't give him a full day off because you want to come in, pinch run him in with 2 outs in the 9th inning. I'm sorry, but that has to be questioned. It really does. It has to be questioned. And it wouldn't have been questioned if he hadn't gotten picked off. But with that, it shouldn't have happened. That's about all I got to say on that. Continuing on, let's go into the Canzone. He made a fantastic play in the top of the 2nd inning, I believe. Maybe the top of the 3rd. And he is heading towards the wall in left field, heading at it. He's running full speed. He catches the ball and just slams into the left field wall like a truck. He was steaming over. I've never seen him run that fast, and he just bangs into the wall on his left shoulder. And he has a left AC joint sprain. If you don't know where that is basically a joint that's connecting your collarbone to your shoulder. So not great. In terms of my research, from what I could figure out, it sounds like it could be anywhere from 2 weeks-ish to about 6 to 8. So we could be looking at anywhere from 2 months to 2 weeks to about 2 months, if not even a little bit longer. And you have to remember that means that's when the shoulder will be active again to be able to do range of motion and continue baseball activity. So it will be longer than that. I would guess you're looking at about a month probably. Best case scenario. Worst case scenario, you're looking about 2.5, 3 months. I would guess, considering this next point, that it's probably on that lower end. It's probably about 3 weeks. And the reason I say that is because the young man by the name of Jonatan Clase has been called up. The speedster. He's here. He's ready to roll. And it's go time. The reason I think this plays into a shorter span for Canzone is I was watching the Marine Layer, like Instagram, YouTube, sort of Sunday live when this all broke, and I think their point is very good. This was Lyle that was saying this, but the point is very valid. Why would you bring up Jonatan Clase when he's probably not really ready yet over a Cade Marlowe, over a Samad Taylor, over... who else is there? Over those are the 2 main dudes. Why would you bring him up over even a Brian Anderson? Why would you bring him up if it's going to be a long-term thing? You're probably going to see him play very few. You're going to see him pinch run probably mostly. But why would you call him up for a longer period of time when you're probably just going to have to send him down sometime? I think that point's valid. I think it's probably accurate. Clase's basically an elite Mariner. He whiffs a lot and strikes out a lot. But he's fast. That is different. He's probably not going to play a ton. And it's, again, probably short term. That's about all I got. I'm not sure what you're going to see from Clase. I think you could see anywhere from a very good Clase. Not a very good. I think you could go anywhere from solid production to a whole lot of trash. But even if he is trash, you are still going to see him stealing bases, coming in as a pinch runner late in games, running around, sprinting around, doing that type of stuff. Could he be like a Jose Caballero type? I don't know. Maybe, but I don't think his bat's going to play as well as Cabby's did. He's going to strike out a lot, and he's going to struggle when he gets at bats. But with that, Luke Raley's going to get a lot more bats. He's going to have to figure it out. And I think he might be able to. I don't have a ton of confidence in Luke Raley, but I like him better than Luis Urias, who's actually hitting well. I don't know why I hate Luis Urias. I just do. It's just, I'm not into it, man. Overall, again, Canzone injury, not good. Really great play, but also, my boy, you ought to be somewhat aware where the wall is. He had no clue it was there. He caught it and was just like bum rushed. It was just like nothing. I mean, he slammed the wall. You saw Luis Castillo's reaction. He goes the little, show the teeth. You're like, ugh. That's the reaction Luis Castillo got. Like, great catch, great play. Gives him a little applause, but like, yeesh, man, yeesh, really, really brutal. But again, really great play. Should have been more aware, maybe, but really great play. And I like to see that because that's some effort that has not been seen a ton from this team. It's been a lot of just bleh. You know what I mean? Like, bleh. And it sucks. It really does. Not only just because he's a fun dude to watch, and it's Dominic Canzone, Mamma mia, Dominic Canzone. But it's also like, he was just coming around. It felt like he was getting there. And now he's going to be out about a month or so, I would guess. We'll probably find out more information tomorrow as they get more tests done and whatnot, but I would guess it's about a month. Continuing on. Let's get to the starting pitchers first. Kirby and Castillo. They've got to find more whiff. And Castillo obviously did better today, and I think Kirby will do great tomorrow. I think he'll be back to the George Kirby from opening Friday. But overall, you got to get more whiff, dude. Get out of the zone. And I know that's not who you are, George. If you're listening, I know you're not. But if you are, I know you're not the dude to go out of the zone and get whiffs. But you have to do it because you're in the zone a little bit too much and it's allowing a little bit too much hard contact. You're allowing a little bit too much hard contact. You need to get some more strikeouts. You can waste a pitch when you're 0-2 or 1-2. I understand not wanting to waste 1-2-2. I understand that. But if you are at a 1-2 or 0-2 count, waste a pitch. Get one out of the zone and try to get some chase. Throw the splitter, throw the slider, throw the knuckle curve. Get the fastball up, try to ride the top, get it above the zone, try and get them to climb the ladder and chase. Go for it. But I don't need to see you missing in the middle of the plate. And that's kind of where Castillo's at. He's getting good pitches, especially today. But when he's missing middle of the plate or way outside the zone. You got to be more competitive. You have to have more competitive pitches. I think he's going to get there. You saw him getting there, especially later after he gave up the homer to Michael Bush. Wow. After he gave up the homer to Bush, you saw him getting there. He looked like a more 2023 Luis Castillo. That's something you want to see. But with that, I still think he has room to get better. I really do. I think his next start's going to be really important to watch. And if he does give up big hits, look at where those pitches are. Look at what pitch they were. Because the homer he gave up today was a changeup that he left middle at about the thighs, I think, kind of lower thigh, almost the knee. But he left that changeup in the zone. You just got to get it out of the zone, dude. That can't happen, especially to a dude that has been torching the baseball. Continuing on, let's get into the big four. That's what I'm going to call him. I'm going to call him the big four. J.P. Crawford to start. The dude's going to find it, but you might need to move him out of the leadoff spot. That's kind of where I'm at right now. Let's get some lineup shuffling. But I think overall everybody's going to figure out. Julio's the biggest worry because Julio's your guy. This is Julio's team. As Julio goes, the team goes. Look at them right now. Julio's not anywhere there. But look at the game on Friday. Julio gets a big-time RBI. That's the game they win. The team is going to move. The team is going to win as Julio hits. So if Julio starts hitting more, you're going to win more games. You need that to happen soonish. He's chasing a ton. He's chasing a ton. I almost wonder if he's selling out for more home runs because he's feeling the pressure now, not having that first one. So get that out of the way. Let's get the monkey off the shoulder, as they say in hockey. Let's get the monkey off the shoulder. Get him off the shoulder. Let's go. Doing on to Mitch Garver. He's not gonna stay like this. He's too good of a hitter. If he doesn't, I don't really know what to say, but he's too good of a hitter to stay like this. The dude is a good hitter. He's gonna be better. Cal Raleigh, if we played in Toronto every game, the dude would hit like 100+ home runs. Like, if we were playing Toronto every game of the season, 100+ home runs, guaranteed. But if we're not in Toronto, the dude sucks. I don't really know what's going on, to be honest. He's just whiffing a lot. He looks a little bit in between, as we like to say. He looks a little bit in between. He just looks a little bit lost, a lot less lost than Mitch Garvsauce looks, but he does look a little bit lost. All four of these dudes look a little bit lost. They look in between. They look lost. But hopefully they'll find it. We saw Jorge Polanco starting to find it now. He had a big-time 2-run homer today, and he's just overall been better. I think you will continue to see that. Now, let's get into the Cincinnati preview. Overall, here's my big two things. Let's keep Elly De La Cruz off the bases and in the ballpark. You can do that. I think you're going to do pretty well. You also, I think, need to get some early leads. You need to get some runs early in the game and more than one run. You need to have a game where we get a couple runs in the first, second inning. You just continue to build on that. Don't let that just suffer. Don't let those that 1 or 2 runs be all you're getting. And if you're a starting pitcher and they get those runs, let them hold it. Let's not immediately give up a couple home runs. Now, I think you got to win 2 of 3 to feel good about the series. 1 of 3 and you're just bleh. You sweep and you feel really great. I think you feel really, really great going into the weekend if you sweep. That's not going to happen, though. I'm going to tell you that right now. I think 2 of 3 is even also going to be tough. But you have 3 great pitchers on the mound in Kirby, Gilbert, and Bryce Miller. And they have 2 pretty solid pitchers and 1 good sometimes, and other times pitcher in Andrew Abbott. Hunter Green is going to be a tough night. He strikes out a lot of dudes, and that is not the type of pitcher the Mariners are going to do great against. But you never know. They do seem to show up against the best pitchers sometimes, so we'll see what happens. Frankie Montas will be game 1 matchup. He is a fastball pitcher. That's his best pitch. He's getting almost a 40% whiff rate on that splitter right now. I think you're going to have to force some walks and get some line drives because he gets a lot of ground balls, gets a lot of weak contact from the sinker and the splitter. So if you can do that, keep the ball off the ground, you're going to be pretty good. I think you're going to be okay, and I think Montas is a dude you can face. In terms of his pitches, he does have 5 of them. He goes 32% four-seam, 27% split, 16% cutter, 17% sinker, and a 7% slider. So he's mostly going to be that four-seam splitter. You're going to see probably a little bit of that sinker against the Mariners and probably a little bit of that cutter. In terms of slider, you might also see it against some Mariners right-handed hitter as they don't know how to hit nothing. But, that's okay. That's okay. Try to force some walks. If you can force some walks and not chase, you're also going to be pretty solid. Don't chase, force some walks. He gives up a decent amount of walks. He's let's look at the Savant page. He gives up kind of a middle sort of range of walk percentage. So if you can get around that and avoid some strikeouts, you're going to be pretty solid. He does have a 73rd percentile in walk, but he's 34th in K. So if you can get both of those down, you're going to feel pretty good about it, and I think you're going to be able to have a decent night. I think this is probably the middle game in terms of winnability. I think this is the game that if they can win this one, I'll feel pretty good about them being able to win the series. If they don't win this one, probably a series loss. That'll probably happen in the first two games, and then you're really getting worried because that would probably be a 4-game losing streak. That just can't happen, especially this early in the season. Don't drop 4 in a row, please. Whatever you do. Continuing. Game 2. You got Logan Gilbert on the mound facing Hunter Green. This is going to be a fantastic pitching matchup. Hunter Green is probably going to carve up the Mariners. He gets a lot of chase, he gets a lot of whiff, he gets a lot of strikeout percentage, and those are the 3 things the Mariners suck at this year. So, if you're wanting to watch the games and you're not wanting to watch one of them, don't watch that one. I'm going to be at that game. I'm excited because it's going to be a great game. But it could also be brutal. If you can get 2 runs off Green and hand it over to the Cincinnati bullpen, I think you could win this game, especially if Gilbert has a good start. In terms of Hunter Green, the dude is the Reds' best pitcher. He is, again, heavy chase, heavy whiff, heavy strikeout percentages. He's pretty even in terms of fly ball, ground ball, so he's not going to be especially heavy either way. You're going to see a lot of strikeouts. You need Logan Gilbert, Mr. Walter to show up, and you need probably a couple home runs. And when you're looking at Hunter Green, you look at his baseball savant, his fastball velo is very high. Now, in terms of run value, it's about 40th percentile, so about league average. His off-speed pitches are going to be his best grouping of pitches, and that's simply because of the slider. He walks around league average amount of hitters. He gets a league average amount of barrels, league average amount of hard hit. Again, if you can get a homer or 2 off of him, that's where you're going to want to be. In terms of stat lines, let's talk. His expected stats are going to be better for his 2 main pitches. Starting with the 4-seamer, let's go WOBA. All right. In terms of opponents, xWOBA, opponents are expected to have an xWOBA of 196. This season so far, they've had a WOBA of 320. So simply, you can see it there with the fastball. He's expected to be better than he's been. That pitch is expected to be better than it has been. Same thing with the slider. xWOBA 309, WOBA 335. That's a little bit less of a disparity. But that pitch is going to cause problems. It's got a 38% whiff percentage. That's going to cause some serious problems probably for the Mariners. His other 2 pitches he barely uses. He's thrown 15 splits, 8 curveballs, which would result in a percentage of 4.9 and 2.6, so he barely uses them. You might see them, you might not. He hasn't given up a hit on either, but expected batting average on the split is 454. Expected slug is 524. xWOBA is 400. The curveball's a little bit better, whereas it has an X batting average of 271, X slug 297, xWOBA of 244. Again, he's going to be a fastball slider combo, kind of like Robbie Ray, except he has a little bit of other stuff that he can mix in when he wants to, and he could cause problems. He seriously could cause problems. The split and the curveball are new pitches for him. He had a changeup last year that was kind of rocked around, and that's probably why it's gone now. But you look at him, I would be not surprised if you see more splits against the Mariners because they don't know how to hit it. Also, more curves. I would not be surprised if you just see him mix and match all those pitches, get them off balance a lot, and it'll cause some heavy problems. Yeah, that's about what you need to know about Hunter Green. he's going to be a very tough matchup for them. As I said, for three main reasons: heavy chase, heavy whiff, heavy strikeouts for Hunter Greene. Very good at those three things. Mariners hitters are very bad at those three things. It is just truly the worst matchup imaginable as we can continue to game 3. Hopefully it'll be a rubber match, or hopefully they'll be going for the sweep. Ideal is ideal, but you've got Bryce Miller on the mound, who you feel very good about right now, against Andrew Abbott, who is probably going to be the worst starter you face. He is giving up a lot of contact, kind of middling, little bit of soft, but mostly in the middle. This is your chance to get into some pitches and avoid some strikeouts. Following a game on Tuesday that's going to be brutal, this is a game that you need to avoid strikeouts. And I say that because of Andrew Abbott. That shouldn't be surprising for anyone. But when you look at his savant, and you look at his chase, whiff, and strikeout percentages, and these are the same three things I was just talking about. Hunter Greene being extremely, extremely, extremely good at. Andrew Abbott is in the 9th percentile in chase percentage, 7th percentile in whiff percentage, and 19th percentile in K percentage. Now, if you don't know at all what I just said, that is ranking him compared to the rest of the league. So if you're the best in the league, you're going to be 100th percentile. So if you want me to read off those numbers, again, chase percentage, he's in the 9th. One of the worst. 7th percentile for whiff. Also, really bad. Strikeout percentage, 19. Also, really, really not good. That said, his pitches are going to be a little bit brutal probably for your Seattle Mariners. He has got a four-seam curveball sweeper changeup combo, and he uses all of them. Heavy four-seam, he throws it about 50% of the time. But that curveball is going to be second at 17, sweeper at 16.7, changeup at 15.6. So he's going to mix and match all four of those. You're probably not going to see a lot of fastballs if you're the Mariners. And I say that just because that's probably his worst pitch when you look at it. Yeah, that's probably his worst pitch. That and his curveball are the ones hit the hardest. He also uses them the most. So I don't know what you think of that what you will. But I think the Mariners have a chance here to get a win. His curve gets a little bit crushed so far this year. When you look at his curveball, opponents are batting .333 off of it, slugging .500 with a WOBA of .363. Again, let's talk about WOBA. If you don't know what WOBA is, it is basically your average, but it weights all your hits, so it's about a lot of other stuff. It's just a more accurate representation of batting average, and it's kind of including slugging, but I like the stat. That's what I'm going to say. I like xWOBA a little bit better than WOBA itself, just because it's a little bit more like, ooh, fancy. But you know what I'm saying. His xWOBA against that curve is 340. X slug is 523, so opponents are expected to slug better than they have so far, barely, but it does matter. X batting average at 281, so it's a little, opponents are expected to hit a little bit worse against it than they have so far, but it has only been a few starts for the lad. The season did just begin. Yeah, his sweeper and his changeup are probably his best two pitches. He does use them technically the two least, but it's about the same as the curveball. He's going to use his fastball, and then he's probably going to play sweeper changeup and a little bit of curveball in there. His fastball is kind of It's kind of league average. That's okay, though. His changeup is getting a 37.5% whiff, and that's probably the pitch that's going to just kill the Mariners, truly. That is probably the pitch that is just going to kill them. They sucked against changeups. They've sucked against all pitches, though, so that's okay. He's a fly ball pitcher, which it's T-Mobile Park. The weather looks okay, so it doesn't really matter. But hopefully you can get a couple dingers off him, and then let's go into the weekend with a win, please. Whatever you do, please. Now, like I said, 3 games. Win 2 of them. I think your best chances are game 1, game 3. I think the hardest game to win will be game 2, unless you get Walter, and unless Hunter Greene just kind of struggles with some command and the Mariners actually jump on some command issues. but that probably is not going to happen. So that's okay. Anyways, I think, I think you could win 2 out of 3 in this series decently easy. I think the pitching matchups favor you. It's just going to depend on how your lineup shows up, how your dudes show up. I think if you can keep, especially Eli De La Cruz off the bases, if you can get some nice, some hits, and you can slug more than 240 or whatever they're slugging now at T-Mobile Park, that'd be nice. Anyways, continuing on, let's conclude with a little bit fantasy update. We are going to win and go to 3-0 with a win, 556.75 points to 347.6 points. That's a little Izzo win. We had a fantastic week from Mr. Pete Alonso. He was our top performer of the week. So hats off to you, lad. Hats off. Hats off to you. He got, where is he? 70.75 points on the week. So again, Pete Alonso, hats off to you. Great game. Great week. Really doing the carry there. We added a couple dudes yesterday, actually. We added the dude that was killing the Mariners, Mr. Bush. We added Micah Bush, and he ended up hitting another homer today. So, yay! I also added Colton Cowser, who also hit a home run today, actually. So that's fantastic. I did have Cody Bradford, who, if you don't know, has been a starter for the Rangers, and he's looked great this year. But he's now injured, so we're picking up someone. I think I picked up Skubal, maybe. Tariq Skubal, so we'll add him to the pitching staff. And hopefully we get just a fun overall weekend. Fun week coming up. Get another win. We'll see what happens, but it's always fun, to get wins. Hopefully we can continue this unbeaten streak. We're better than the Mariners, so that's all that really matters. Anyway, y'all, Trident's up. Whatever it is. Trident's up. Go Mariners. Hopefully we can figure it out. Do not flip your minds. Do not lose it. It's not over yet. That's what I got for you. Anyway, go Mariners. Trident's up. See y'all. Thank y'all for listening. Peace.